What's up, everybody? It's Thursday night, and that means it's time to talk movies. I am your host, Vincent Didiano. This is the POVincent podcast. And with me, of course, is my co-host, my sound engineer, the human megahorn, Eric Williams. Eric, how's it going, baby?
It's going all right, Vincent. I'm not dead. I haven't frozen to death, and I got to eat food today. So 3 for 3, buddy.
Hey, that's the essentials. That's the essentials right there, people. Well, anybody, thank you all for joining in, whether you're joining in on the live stream or you're listening to the show on the River's Edge website or SoundCloud or wherever you're listening from. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, we got a guest on tonight. We had a guest a few weeks back with Sarah from, also known as K Nukshi on Twitch. And tonight we've got John from the Cinema Pyschos Show podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Swanky digs you guys got here. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you to the River's Edge, of course, for always hosting our show. We're very appreciative of that. So John's joining us tonight. We only got really 3 things to go over, but
Just 3 things.
Just 3 things. Yeah.
How many of those correlate to the MCU or how bad the DCU has been?
Very little. We're going to try to keep the DCU out of things tonight.
So we're not talking about how they've been really pushing the publicity level for Miss Marvel. We're seeing the advertisements. It's out there now. The commercials, the posters.
This has been the longest they've gone without a movie. You know what I mean? They're freaking out.
They're letting us know it's coming out in March.
Yeah.
It's March already.
Yeah. That is Captain Marvel, sir. Please respect her. She has a rank. Okay.
See, I was just making sure you were paying attention.
Were you?
You're like, we're skipping MCU this week. I'm like, are you sure about that?
No, but tonight on the show, we're going to talk briefly about the Golden Globes this past weekend as they came out, because we got some movie nominations. Well, really, there was just one award I want to talk about. We're going to get to that. But then, John's going to talk to us about his show, the Cinema Pyschos Show. We met him at Pittsburgh PodCon. We'll talk a little bit about that and what's going on in the horror scene. And then finally, we're going to give a movie review of the new Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart movie, The Upside. But first, let's talk about the Golden Globes real quick. Now, John, you said you watched the Golden Globes a little bit, right?
Yeah, kind of in and out. Not gonna lie. I mostly, in terms of award shows, I check out the Oscars and
right.
but I'll just hit it here and there with the other guys. But,
I got you. The show wasn't really the show wasn't doing that great anyway. Our host Sandra Oh and guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg.
I drew a blank.
So does Fox.
Yeah. most of them, they were okay. So most of their comedy was like, And once in a while they got a good joke in, but I was just like, this is
what I'm getting from this is that the Golden Globes happened.
Yes, they happened. They definitely happened.
You could tell they were extremely nervous. Like they do not want to say anything wrong, so they played it as vanilla as possible.
I know, right? There was no bite to it. There was no spice to the comedy. Everyone's
not even vanilla beans.
Considering everybody's drunk in the audience too, you think they could have gotten away with more?
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. That's the one thing I was noticing about the Golden Globes. It was so loud in that show. You when they come back for commercial, Sandberg and they be talking. You can just hear people talking in the background. I did okay. The contract, I don't think anybody cared. It was weird. It's like everyone's just like we're all hanging out, really, and no one cares about the awards. Yeah.
I still, didn't care about the awards. I legitimately didn't know they just happened. I'm also still kind of in shock that the Golden Globes are still a thing. I kind of thought it was just something people made up, like that legend. Like, the guy with the claw on his hand that lived in the house at the end of the street.
Oh man. But anyway, so there's really just one award I want to talk about tonight, and that was the award of the night, which was best film in the drama category, which is basically the big winner of the night. It's like and the nominees were Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Klansman, Black Panther, A Star Is Born, and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, Vincent is emotionally invested in this. I can tell already.
Yes.
I could tell that he was like, this is the one thing I want to talk about. And then he mentioned a movie, which I know captured his heart.
It did.
He wouldn't shut up about it last week.
I did. Last week we went over our my top 10 picks for best and worst.
This was number 1.
Yes. A Star Is Born. I cannot talk about how much I love that film. The dialogue, the acting, the use of the camera, the music, the directing.
This is at least
Sam Elliott crying. When you see Sam Elliott cry, it kicks you in the nuts, people. He's only just crying on screen for 5 seconds. I was like, oh, Sam, bruh.
The Marlboro Man doesn't cry.
Right? No, they broke Sam Elliott, goddammit.
He goes out and chops some wood instead, you know?
Oh, my God. But anyway, so what happened was the winner of the night for the big award was Bohemian Rhapsody, which was on the top 10 for the best of the year. We saw a lot of movies last year. We didn't see everything, but once again, Bohemian Rhapsody, it was a very enjoyable film. Rami Malek, who won award for won the Best Actor award at the Golden Globes for his portrayal of Freddie Mercury, and he did a great job. He is the draw of that film, him as Freddie Mercury. However, when I saw the film, we both very much enjoyed it. After we saw the film, we found out that they took a lot more creative liberties than initially we thought they did. There was a lot of hardcore Queen fans realized oh, you changed way too much.
40% of that movie's made up.
Yeah,
or adjusted.
Adjusted. We'll say adjusted. That's a nice clean word. It was adjusted. So yeah, it won.
It was running for office.
Yeah. And I really disagreed with it winning the drama, best drama of the year because. Once again, okay, obviously, Star is Born. I thought Star is Born should have won, and it got really, snubbed a bit the other night. It won for Best Song for Shallow because they were like, oh, crap, Lady Gaga's, and we got to give her the Song Award. They were just like, give Lady Gaga. But it didn't win anything else. It didn't win directing or lead actor, lead actress, none of that stuff. And here's the thing. If, Black Klansman would have won, I would have been fine with that because I really like Black Klansman. I wanted Star is Born to win, but I was like, Bohemian Rhapsody, at least two of those films are better than Bohemian Rhapsody, and I know that it's not a popularity contest. It actually really is. But but I'm just so disappointed by that.
I just want to say that my prediction is coming true. I mean, technically, I said the Oscars, but Spike Lee has already been snubbed once. We saw Black Klansman in theaters, and that night I was like, oh, Spike Lee's getting snubbed at the Oscars. Absolutely. He's going to get nominated, and then right at the end, the fucking Academy's going to be like, hey, you like this ball? You like this ball? Spike Lee Brown, do you like this ball? Bam!
No, I'm with you guys completely. I'm glad when you brought that up because I would have been okay with any of the other nominees winning except that film. And I don't mean to be overly a snob here, but I don't think that film should have been even in the running, let alone won the whole thing. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was flawed. Not Best Picture.
Oh yeah,
nominee. Considering they have two categories because they have the comedy musical section, and then this one, so they have. Well, I guess sometimes the Oscars have 10, so they have 5 and 5. So
they just need to add a best concert category.
There you go.
Because
then I will run away with it.
No, it was impressive, but a solid 15 minutes of that show is just here's what a concert is like.
It's Live Aid again. Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, yeah, so I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you were watching the Golden Globes. If you enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody, good for you. I mean, I enjoyed it too. I just did not think it was of the same caliber as its, we'll say, competitors. I know that's not what they say the other nominees, but it's a competition.
Look, I'm not going to hold it against Bohemian Rhapsody because I called Spike Lee would get snubbed. That's really, I mean... People make decisions. We're not always going to like them. Yeah. Maybe it was the trendy pick or this was the PC culture pick. I don't fuck. It happened. It happened. I think the important thing is that Bradley Cooper will now try to see if he can not get snubbed in the future, and then he will probably win an award that will snub Spike Lee.
That humble smile he has on his face during award season will start to fade slowly.
Oh man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I really wanted to get out of my, get off my chest, get out of my system about the Golden Globes. But let's get into it. John, tell us about your show, the Cinema Pyschos Show. Tell us about it.
So obviously with a vague title like that, we talk about cinema. We try to break it down into 5 categories. Initially, we kind of came into it a little bit blind right at the beginning a couple of years ago, and we were just kind of trying to pick topics to talk about. And I decided, we need to kind of organize this a little bit. So for our own sanity, and so that people actually have a reason to tune in, and then other than, hey, what are we going to talk about, this week, or just going blind. So we kind of originally broke it down into topic episodes talking about NC-17 movies and rating systems and as a random example, and kind of breaking down the history of that and our thoughts on it. And then we thought, well, we should also do movie reviews of recent films, like of note, like every time, the 10 times a year Marvel has a new movie out, and that's what people want to hear about. And then Brian wanted to do what he titled a pantheon of other shit, which gave us.
Okay. I like it.
We talk about terrible movies, so that ended up being our third category, and then eventually over time we had a really that awful, which is we talk about movies that get what we think is unfairly lambasted and see if they're worth defending, like Cable Guy.
Okay.
Was one of our first ones there. And filmmaker retrospective. We've talked about Kevin Smith. We've talked about Tim Burton. Just kind of like looking back over their career and kind of breaking that down. So we try to keep it to those 5 categories now. We've broken this already for January because we did a bulk recording. So we actually have one coming out each week, but we're trying to go to bi-weekly. So having 5 different episode types is a little bit jam-packed.
Oh, yeah.
So some of them are going to get snubbed, especially since we also do interviews as well. But we try to incorporate them into the episode if we can. So, yeah, it's just an eclectic kind of thing of different types of film interviews, topics, reviews, and shitting on bad movies.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. You guys are bringing it all. Goddamn. Yeah. All right. So, how long have you guys been doing the show?
It's 2.5 years. Well, yeah, a little over 2 years. Trying to think of the actual date we started this now. It's kind of a blur. We're on, I believe it's episode 126 or 127. It's hard to say because we just did 4 episodes the other day, and that was a marathon. But Brian has a baby at home, so we just tried to go through about 6-7 hours of recording, so we had all January ready to go. Yeah,
I got you, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and just so the people know who are watching it right now, where can they listen to Cinema Pyschos?
Wherever you like to get your podcasts, Apple Music, anywhere that you get any other kind of podcast, you can check out our show. If you follow us on social media, if you check out when a new episode comes out or anything else we post on our Twitter or Facebook, you can also go to cinemapyschos.com. All of our episodes will be there as well. So go to our website, our social media, or wherever you get podcasts, and you can check it out there.
Sweet, man, sweet. All right, so we'll move on to the subject. And I ran this by you, John, before to see if you'd be interested. And the subject we're going to talk about is something that's been kind of rolling around in the back of my head. And Eric, as a horror man, you're going to enjoy this. We are going to talk about the resurgence of Stephen King films because they're back, baby. They're back. When we were all kids, right? Stephen King, famous horror novelist. And his books got so big, they started making movies out of it. They got feature film movies that came out in the cinema, and eventually, towards the end of the 80s and then into the 90s, we started getting the TV movies, because you got the big movies on the big screen, like the original Pet Sematary, for instance, and then you had the TV movies, like most famously, of course, is the It movie. That was the most famous TV movie they did. They also did The Langoliers, which I ran by John when we were messaging, which I remember Langoliers when I was a kid and how big of a fucking disappointment that was.
It was such a great premise.
Right?
And then it's like, oh, no.
Yeah. For those of you who don't remember, The Langoliers was the premise of the movie. It's kind of like...
what do you guys have against Dean Stockwell, okay?
Oh, man. The Langoliers, the premise of the movie was these people are on a 747 flight from one city to another. I can't remember which. Some of the people on the plane fall asleep, and when they wake up, mostly everybody on the plane is gone. It's just like 7 or 8 of them.
Jewelry and
See,
watches
Vince,
are left
you are actually completely wrong.
Oh.
The premise of the movie is consumerism because you want to see how much a corporation or a broadcasting entity can squeeze commercials into a thing that people will watch, which is why you turn 2.5 hours worth of movie into a 4-hour time slot on USA.
Oh, God. Yeah, I remember. That was one thing. It was a 2-part. I remember waiting for, I'm like, what's going to happen? Right? And then... because something's funny.
It's 4 hours.
So
it is 4 hours.
So thankfully, one of the pilots survived the sleeping, we'll call it. And they land the plane in an airport. The airport's freaking barren. There's nobody there. Nothing. Like all like the planes and the buildings are still there. And like the one character who's like supposed to be like he writes detective novels. He figures out like we're in the past. We're in like the leftover form of reality that's left in the past. It's like a real complicated way to explain it, but they're in the past. That like it's like time sheds its skin. They're like in the old skin. I think that's a good way to explain it. And eventually, like, there's a little psychic girl, because Stephen King, there's got to be somebody with psychic powers or something like that.
Main psychic powers, an alcoholic writer.
Yeah. And then Bronson Pinchot's there. Balky from Perfect Strangers. He's some asshole businessman. It's like, I'm late for my meeting! And he's just screaming at people all the time. And then the black guy gets stabbed, of course. And then that happened in the movie. And then they figured out that there's these creatures coming to eat up the dead skin.
By creatures, you mean CGI meatballs?
Yes, there's CGI.
I was gonna say Microsoft Paint testicles.
I like that. Yeah. So yeah, and they're called the Langoliers because Bronson Pinchot's character, he had an abusive father, and when he was a kid, he told him, if you don't behave like a good little boy, the Langoliers or wherever. And I don't know how. Like where you get like Stephen King was like chandelier.
Maybe
Langley.
Stephen King's just actually a psychic, and he finds indie folk terrifying.
I don't think cocaine gives you psychic powers. He just hits that nose candy and types 300 pages a day.
I don't know. I just want to see a remake of The Langoliers where the indie folk band just comes and kills everyone. I would watch it. I'm just saying.
I'd watch it too. Hopefully they'll become to like YouTube as some kind of fan film or something.
So what Stephen King movies are hitting the screen, and favorite each person's favorite Stephen King film? I think this is an easy one. But that's just me.
Okay, well, so far, I mean, oh my God. Here's the thing, you know me, I'm not really a big horror guy, so I haven't really seen a lot of his films, but so I because I'm such a dope with this, for me, it's the recent It remake, because I just liked it, because I didn't see the original It as a kid. I didn't watch it, so I watched it right before the new one came out, and I was like, Tim Curry's fun. And that was it. That was my whole experience with the original It. I was just like, this is so campy.
Well, it's such a filthy book, and for network television, it just didn't make sense. I mean, for length, yes, but not for what's in the
big.
book. Yeah. It's like the size of the King James Bible.
Right. Like the Harry Potter books wish they were that fucking massive. You need to combine Harry Potter books to make that motherfucker. Yeah. But John, what about you?
This is like saying, my favorite Beatles song is Yesterday or Hey Jude, but I would probably go with Shawshank Redemption.
Sorry, that is the correct answer.
Oh my God, I totally forgot.
That is the correct answer.
I totally forgot that was a Stephen King. So I'm changing mine to Shawshank because I love that film. I thought we were just sticking to the horror category, and I just didn't think about
I said Stephen King film, man.
All right, so Shawshank, I'm sorry. Hope is the best thing. Sorry,
I wanted my opinion. Number 2, Stand By Me. And if you want to throw in a camp one and just to like fuck with people, you can say Running Man.
Oh, Running Man's a classic. Yeah.
See, here's the thing though. Like, that's not really a Stephen King movie. Like that. So the book, which was written under Richard Bachman, because Stephen King was like, I'm too famous. Maybe people just buy it because it has my name on it. And then he tried Richard Bachman, and the same fucking thing happened. But like there's the similar premise, but like the movie and the book, one of those, like, they're not the same as all. Whereas Shawshank is very similar, with the main differences being they Game of Thrones, like HBO, they simplified certain things just to make it work. Like in the story, there's like 4 different wardens and a bunch of different guards. In the film, they were just like, one warden and he's evil. And also, I'm pretty sure Morgan Freeman isn't black in the book. Like,
he's
his name's Red.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and he's got red hair. Like,
creative liberties.
Maybe it's because I'm Irish.
Well, not in the movie. Okay, so let's talk about. We've had in the past few years a resurgence in Stephen King films. We've had The Dark Tower, which,
oh boy,
yeah, that was underwhelming. Then we had It, which was successful. And this year we've got It Chapter 2 coming up, as well as a Pet Sematary remake.
Shit.
Yeah, the trailer just came out like a week or 2 ago. I saw it.
Yeah, I was watching that a couple of times here before I came on, and it's making me a bit nervous because it has that.
Why, John?
has that aerial shot and then that like one piano key, and it's like, where have I seen all this before? That, and it looks just like the original Pet Sematary. What I thought was so interesting about it was that they were able to update it and be a little bit more faithful to the book. And I mean, it's kind of an impossible because it's kind of an impossible movie to adapt from, or kind of book to adapt.
Oh yeah.
But you know, they were able to really capitalize on the whole Stranger Things and all the 30-year situation like we had now with the 80s being so popular again. And instead of like people living in the 80s remembering the 50s, oh, we're just gonna have it people remembering the 80s who now live in, you know, our time. But this movie is not really going to have any of that, and it just seems like if you don't have anything to offer that's different, like as horrible as Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was, at least he tried to make something that was closer to the book than the original. So so this is like a little bit different. It looks just like the original film, which has its problems. You know, it's schlock fun. And this one looks like it's going to be that, but without the schlock. It's just going to take itself a little overly serious. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Pet Sematary, like I said, I like the new It. It had one too many like just doll scares, like because it was done. I can't remember. You guys remind me. The new It was Blumhouse involved in that motherfucker?
Shit. No, I don't think.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I mean, here's the thing. This is another thing that like once again, I'll defer to you guys on this subject because I'm a big. This is a subject I hear coming up all the time. Podcasts and YouTube reviews is the overuse of the jump scare in recent horror films. Like, John, how do you feel? Like, do you think the jump scare is used way too much, or do you think people are giving it too much hell?
Oh yeah, it's a cheap as hell trick, and you'll even see it in a decent horror movie, and you'll be having a great time because like, oh, this is actually quality. Because most horror films can be complete garbage, and then all of a sudden somebody will close the fridge and drum, and it's just. It's his wife, you know. Oh, honey, what are you doing awake? And it's just like, no, why did you guys have to resort to such cheap, you know, it's like a kick in the balls in a comedy movie, you know. But so, yeah, I hate jump scares. And the thing is, you can do a jump scare without that music hit. That's
okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is it's the proposal sort of issue.
Go on.
Did you ever watch The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock?
I'm aware of it.
Okay. The movie in and of itself, like like what they filmed, like not horrible, like standard rom-com, but they used like family kid movie sound effects. And it is not, dude. It just ruins the movie. Like it's like the same sound effects you would have in a Nickelodeon show are like all throughout the movie. Betty White's like dick joke, and they're like mama bear, and you're like, what the fuck? It's so incongruent.
I'd be okay if some Nickelodeon show music came in if it was like the opening thing to Pete and Pete. I haven't heard that song in forever. If Pete and Pete,
okay, Pete and Pete is just like an anomalous exception to all rules, okay?
There we go.
That's like if David Lynch did a Nickelodeon
amazing.
show.
Yes, that is.
Well, that was during the network's early days where they were kind of figuring out how to do a show like that.
That was lightning in a bottle.
Welcome to Nickelodeon. You're greenlit.
Like Steve Buscemi is in that show. Janine Garofalo is in that show. Like that show's fucking insane.
Wasn't Iggy Pop on that show?
But like no. So, but essentially what you're saying is it's not the film, not the precise writing and the filmography, but it's specifically like the sound effect choice that like just all's over.
Boo, you're scared. Yeah.
Oh man.
Now, I would argue that part of the thing about is setting up that fake out, like that is the fake handoff of horror. Like oh yeah, that's right. Oh, this time, oh now they're fucking dead. This time it's for real.
But yeah, I could just see a bunch of Hollywood executives sitting around being like, okay, it did real well. What are his other scary books that we can like put a polish on and remake? Pet Sematary? Oh yeah. And nobody between the ages of 12 and 28 remembers that movie. Let's do that one again. And then if this one makes some money, they're going to be like, oh, Salem's Lot. They'll just start like scouring his archives.
Do we got the Tommyknockers? Can we do the Tommyknockers?
Well, Pet Sematary is a nice length too. Yeah. You can fit that into. It's not one of his 900-page books that needs a miniseries or TV show. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. One of the things I was like, because I mentioned the Dark Tower earlier, which is like Stephen King's more recently known for that. And that led to a whole bunch of. I haven't read the books, but I know there's a bunch of them going on right now. And Idris Elba, he was good pick for a leading man. I'm a big fan of Eric knows this. I love Idris. He's like my man crush.
Like no simile there. No simile. No metaphor. Just reality.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice.
I would love to cancel the apocalypse with him. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to know
that
if
was a Pacific Rim reference. I was hoping for more laughs on that one.
I just want to know if you cry when you watch The Wire.
I don't think I've seen The Wire.
Unless I'm mistaken, because I'm pretty sure Idris Elba is a character that gets done dirty at some point throughout this. It's The Wire. It's an HBO show. Lots of actors do not make it through the series. That is how it goes. But, there's you knew that guy was going to get it. Or, oh, yeah, I wanted the guy. And then there's oh, man, he went out like that.
Oh, man. So, the reason why I'm bringing up the Dark Tower again, because I remember watching it, and once again, not good. Good actors in it. You got Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey's character, I just thought he was poorly explained as to what his whole deal was, or why those, creatures that can change their faces were working for him. I just thought, I get it. It's a big world, and they just didn't explain it well enough. And I was like, why do I care?
I think I didn't watch this film, but I feel like it would make more sense if you just pretended that Matthew McConaughey was just a spokesperson for Trump.
Tower in a wall?
Well, and he's supposed to be some version of the Antichrist.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. You know what? Every once in a while, we fit a little political jab in here. It's usually Eric, and I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. You know what?
The low-rent POVincent show is terrible. The failing audio ratings.
There we go.
They keep inviting me on, but I won't go on that horrible show.
They won't stop. Every day with them.
Even if we did bring him on, he'd be like, my microphone's not working. They can't understand what I'm saying. They misunderstood everything I said. I said I was okay with Black Panther. I didn't say I hated it.
He couldn't lift the mic with
He
his
would
tiny
say
hands.
we didn't even give credit for Home Alone 2, which Vincent did.
I did.
But the truth doesn't matter to him.
Anyway. Every once in a while,
back to movies. Back to more
okay.
reality than the
I was
White
going to talk
House.
about something, but fuck it. We got to. So I remember I was watching, Dark Tower, and in the movie they say the kid once again, psychic kid, he can shine, and I was like, oh, it's a Shining reference. And not only did they say that, but I'm pretty sure at one point in the movie there's a picture on a dresser or someone's windowsill of the hotel from The Shining. I'm pretty sure and I was like, oh, they're putting in some Easter eggs in there. But then I was like, wait a second. All the movie studios are trying to do their own cinematic universe. I was like, for a second there, I was like, oh, fuck, are they going to try to do a Stephen King cinematic universe? It's like, when It comes out and they're going to do Chapter 2, it's like, is there going to be a reference to the fucking Dark Tower? And I started getting worried, because I wouldn't put it past them.
Everything's a cinematic universe.
First of all, have you not heard of Castle Rock?
Castle Rock Entertainment?
Castle Rock, the Hulu show, which is literally the Stephen King cinematic universe. Well, not in the correction. Sorry, the Stephen King, I guess, television universe. But it's in Maine, and some creepy guy shows up, and all the stories collide.
Oh, really?
I haven't watched it yet. I've heard good things. Sissy Spacek is in it, but I have not yet watched it. But yeah, that is a real thing. Also, as I understand it, the Dark Tower. The thing about it is, it does bring together all of his. It's one of those weird things where it is its universe in which all of Stephen King stories also exist in parallel universe.
Oh yeah, it totally deals with alternate dimensions, and there's references to what I believe he calls it the macroverse, where all the gods or demons come from.
Yeah. Well, it's talk about unfilmable. My one buddy has read all 12 of those books, and they're all like over 1,000 pages. The only way I think you could really do it is if it was a television series.
Yeah.
But it'd be so all over the map. People would be like, wait, why isn't season 3 like season 2? And just, I don't think that it translates. I mean, they'll try. They'll try and try.
Oh yeah.
But,
I often wonder, like, I get it, movies, you want to make movies make hundreds of millions of dollars, but often, like, why not do a TV show or even a miniseries? People don't do how often do we see like miniseries come out anymore? You do like a couple hours episode every week, and then it's like a month long thing, and then all in 1 week. But what? Don't freaking cram it into a 2-hour film, that you're just, because then you can have what's the problems that we've been talking about.
Well, hopefully it'd be HBO or Netflix or Hulu or something that they're not like neutered like the original It was.
Amazon's been stepping it up. I've been watching Patriot on Amazon. It is so it's one of those shows that you watch and it's like, oh, category drama, comedy, and I'm like, but what? Okay. But no, basically I would describe it, it's like if Wes Anderson did a spy show. It's about a black ops CIA agent who during the Obama administration has to infiltrate an American company so he can get access to Luxembourg to try and stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. The most relevant thing here is that this agent does the thing where he plays folk songs under an assumed name that are basically just him like talking about his missions. It is darkly hysterical.
I would love Wes Anderson to do the next James Bond movie. Let's just switch it up, All of Bond's like new gadgets are centered in the frame, and they have to go one by one and explain what everything is in a close-up.
That would actually make a lot of sense. I mean, it makes sense for Bond to be motivated by daddy issues.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll watch it. I'll fucking take a look at it.
That fucking soundtrack, man.
Ray Fiennes is the villain, of course.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good fucking time.
Bill Murray's cue.
Oh shit. Oh my God. The images in my mind right now, just Bill Murray with the gadgets, and now I'm just. Oh fucking hell.
We broke Vince. We broke Vince, John.
Wasn't it wasn't that YouTube video from like 4 or 5 years ago? It was about like Wes Anderson did X-Men or something.
Yes, no.
Patrick H. Williams. That was the name of the guy who did it. Yeah.
They did a couple. There was Wes Anderson does the X-Men. Wes Anderson does Forrest Gump, which is just like the credits, but it's really well done. Where like they keep basically like flipping pages like it, and there's constantly something for like every scene in that movie. Practically, it's really well done. I feel like there was another good one, but yeah,
he did it. Oh, he did a few. I'm familiar with the YouTube channel. I've watched it. He did he did one with like Ant-Man, but I can't remember the director. It was a real artsy director. It was a real artsy director. I can't remember. But it was weird. It was like one of those like you gotta be into this kind of like experimental artsy like question reality with Ant-Man. It was they did like Tommy Wiseau as Batman. That was another one they did.
What do you think of that gadget, 007?
Oh, hi, Alfred.
Wow. Yeah.
You're tearing me apart, Joker.
Don't act like we wouldn't pay money to see that.
I'm down, man.
I'd be there opening weekend.
Okay, it would be like the first time that we get a full-ass Batman sex scene.
No, yeah. Screwing a belly button. As only Tommy can.
They just showed Batman's dick in the comics. Why not let Tommy have at it? He's fucking Catwoman. He's trying to like turn her on. He's sprinkling catnip in her face because it's Tommy Wiseau. Oh, she'll go fucking. Oh wow, we are.
Look at him trying to keep his secret identity. Hello, Commissioner Gordon. Oh, hi, Gordon. You were clearly Bruce Wayne.
So Harvey Dent, how's your sex life? My face is burnt, you asshole.
I am Batman.
I mean Bruce Wayne. I'm the Bruce Wayne. My parents. Why'd I go? I went a little like Italian.
The Borat for a second. My parents.
I can't. My inner Italian came out. It just happened. It's hard to maintain a solid Tommy Wiseau accent without just going haywire. It's for me.
I told you, Dick, never ask me about where I come from or where I get my money.
Good one.
Oh, The Disaster Artist. That was a fun film. Oh my god, it was a good film. I enjoyed it. It was like that was before we started the show. And if you haven't seen The Disaster Artist, go see it. Unless you had James Franco, then don't go see it.
Poor man's Ed Wood.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move on, guys, is there anything else we want to mention about the horror genre right now and how it's going on? Anything you guys want to bring up? Because I don't know, we pretty much talked about everything I want to talk about, but anybody want to bring anything up, or we good to go? Or?
I think we are all set.
I caught a. Did I mention to you? I caught a Bad Samaritan on Amazon Prime.
I feel like I've heard about this. What's this one?
It was a thriller where basically Tennant plays a sociopath.
Oh, David Tennant.
David Tennant. Yes. Yep.
Doctor Who.
That is right.
And Kilgrave.
Yes. Playing a much more Kilgrave-esque character. He's got a lady locked up in his apartment, and this guy who's a valet robs his place. And the guy, I'm blanking on his name, but he was Nathan from The Misfits, the BBC show. Anyways, they are both excellent, and it was just a bunch of fun watching two really good UK actors in an American product. They pull the film. It was creepy. David Tennant was Kilgrave-esque. Would recommend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for this last year, and I was like, oh, this comes to one of our local theaters. As far as I know, it didn't. I think it got like a limited release in America because I don't remember seeing it anywhere around in Pittsburgh. Maybe I missed it, but hey, anything David Tennant's in, that's got to grab your attention. He's just a fabulous actor. Just even beyond Doctor Who, he's proven his chops, and yeah. But anyway, I think it's time to get to the movie review of tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, John joined me tonight to go see the new movie, The Upside, starring Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. A movie about a paraplegic millionaire who is just kind of like got an old mean and kind of like pulled back from his life, and then he has to hire a life auxiliary, aka somebody to just take care of him, feed him, clothe him, all that stuff. And he hires Kevin Hart, who's a fresh out of jail guy who's on parole, and he's just trying to like reconnect with his son, but he just doesn't take responsibility for himself. And the two, things happen, and they start to learn from each other and all that stuff. Before we go into the review, it should be noted because I saw the trailer for this movie, when they released it a while ago, and I was like, I feel like I've seen this movie or know like the idea, and I was correct. This movie is actually a remake of a French film called The Untouchables. It came out in 2000.
Interesting title.
Yeah.
They couldn't send that one over.
I don't know. Maybe it works better in France. I don't know. But it came out in 2011, and I remember it because it was part of the Three Rivers Film Festival some years ago. That's how I remembered it. It came out in 2011, and it was a hit in both France and in the U.S. because it originally got released over here. The earnings were equivalent to $444.8 million worldwide, and currently ranking at 40 on the IMDb top 250. So that's pretty big. That's impressive.
Do you guys think Elliot Ness movies in France are just called Sober Guy with a Hat?
Which in reality, the real Elliot Ness was actually a drunk. But they didn't talk about that.
I mean, wait. Are you telling me there would be a film production that was not coherent with reality?
What? Nonsense.
Now, just further a little more trivia in the background.
Who won the best film at the Golden Globes?
Wait, guys, what if we have him beat AIDS? Yeah, that'd be good.
He literally beats it with his fist.
Yeah.
He uses black magic to have it take a physical form, and then he just beats it and whacks it with his trademark like microphone cane.
The final scene of the
supersonic.
film is just him, Prince, and Magic Johnson playing basketball together.
And then AIDS takes the form of it's like a vampire transforms into a bat. Then Freddie Mercury grabs it and with his big fucking teeth just rips the bat's head off, all Aussie style.
Finally, the AIDS spirit can rest in peace.
Okay. Last bit of trivia. This is all based on true events. The Bryan Cranston character, his real name in real life is, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Felipe Pozo de Borgo, and Kevin Hart's character name in real life is Abdel Selo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize.
So they Americanized the hell out of this.
Oh yeah, because like it's called Philip and Dell. Those are the characters. But anyway, let's get into it. So, initial thoughts, John. What are your initial thoughts of The Upside?
Okay, so I was a little bit terrified of this movie because I'm terrified of any movie that comes out in January because this is where movie studios just take their dump truck of their hot garbage and just dump it on us. But it was surprisingly good. It was saccharine, a little too saccharine, and then it kind of got rushed near the end. It's one of those movies that, while it was quality, I would say it was a quality film. I don't know if it's a film that's going to stick with me, in the long run. It's just kind of a 20-second overview there.
Yeah. I would tend to agree. Like and we mentioned this before, like on the show, because like January, for God's sakes, the last. I think it was last year. Both the final Resident Evil and Underworld movies came out in January, and those franchises have been going downhill.
How much money did they make? We'll see if they're really the final ones.
They made enough movie where, I assume Mila Jovovich paid her rent. I assume that. I feel bad for Mila Jovovich because her career is just in a horrible spot because she just stars in nothing but her husband's movies, and that man has no effing talent. And he was like, we liked Mortal Kombat. The first Resident Evil movie wasn't too bad, and then he was like, I don't need to be talented anymore.
She was in The Fifth Element and Dazed and Confused, so nothing else matters.
God damn it, Eric! That wave has crashed upon the beach years ago. She cannot use that credit anymore.
She absolutely can. She can use both of them.
25-year-old Fifth Element credit.
Hopefully, she's in the upcoming Hellboy movie, so hopefully that'll be good for her. Because I do like her. I just.
She was also in Zoolander. That's only 16 years old.
Okay, well,
there you go.
All right. You win, Eric. You won. you won the day for Mila Jovovich. You won But anyway, so The Upside. I think both actors put in a good performance. Bryan Cranston, he's definitely solidified himself as an A-list actor.
I was surprised by Kevin Hart.
You just beat me to it, because Kevin Hart is like. I mostly know, he's, one of the famous one of the most, if not the most famous stand-up comedian in the world right now, and he does mostly comedies. He was in Jumanji last year, which I was surprised how much I enjoyed that Jumanji sequel.
Surprise is a good way to put it.
He's trying to pull a Jamie Foxx move right now.
So his performance was surprisingly genuine. I really believe he's this guy that just, and that's his character. He doesn't take responsibility for the poor decisions he's made in his life, and he just still expects, in the beginning of the movie, he's still expecting his ex-wife and son just kind of accept him. But then it's no, you pretty much screwed everything up. You've been a poor, horrible father and husband, all that stuff. And this is a trend I see a lot. You see people who are mostly known for comedic work, and then they do dramatic stuff, and then they're surprisingly good. Like Jim Carrey is, surprisingly is good with drama. I think Tom Hanks is a solid example because mostly in the 80s he did comedic stuff, like Bachelor Party, the other, classic one.
Wait, are you telling me that Bosom Buddies isn't a classic drama?
How can they deal with the inner turmoil of trying to take on the female gender and pretend like they still respect women? The inner turmoil!
Hey, it's about the housing crisis in New York. This is the only way they can live.
I must become the woman.
It's Midnight Cowboy,
What you're telling me is we're getting a reboot in 3 years.
A gritty, dark gritty reboot of Bosom Buddies.
Hey, they did a dark gritty reboot of Scooby-Doo, so anything is possible.
It's true.
No, there's a DC comic running right now where it's Scooby-Doo, except the monsters are real. There's Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
So that Riverdale show, they saw that and let's do that with Scooby-Doo.
I think Scooby-Doo did it first.
Okay.
I think it was the other way around.
Holy everything's dark now. DCEU. Okay, there we go. Got it in. I made no guarantees at the beginning of the show. We got the shot in. So Kevin Hart, a really genuine performance. Nicole Kidman was also in this film. She plays.
I did not know she was in it. I was like, what?
She was like, "How? She was just in Aquaman. How did she do 2 movies?" But no, she was in it too. She's nice. She plays Bryan Cranston's executive. I think that's the term he used. But basically, she used to work for him, and then he became paraplegic, and she came back to work for him. And you can tell, you can tell that like her performance was fine. I mean, her basic character is there to tell Kevin Hart, like, you're not good enough to be here. You should leave. She's, and he's like, and honestly, she's not wrong. She's just, her character almost gets a little one note at times when she's focused. When she's focused on Bryan Cranston's character, just like their kind of relationship, because it's one of those things where like she cares about him, but because ever since he's been paralyzed and he's become very grizzled, we'll say, in his attitude, and she just like he's not very appreciative of her. But it's like and that's what makes a character stale for me. Because in a movie like this, where it's like something bad happened to a person, and now they're like mean, and that person comes into their life that has their own problems, and they help each other learn, and they learn through each other. There's that one person who's like been with that the angry person from the beginning, and they're not showing the kind of appreciation. So, and that's where the movie starts to fall short for me more and more. I mean, at first it's running fine, but then you get that kind of I know this kind of story before,
Well, and her character is very shallow, because you get, Kevin Hart needs to learn how to be a good father and to live in society and redeem himself. And Bryan Cranston needs to reevaluate himself and learn the value of his life given his new circumstances. But she just needs to learn to dance. It's like, something's not the same here.
She is footloose.
I thought she was odd casting as well, because she is such like a superstar that like for such a minor role in this movie, I'm like, why is
look? Kevin Bacon was busy.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, the film's enjoyable, but like especially towards the end, like you said, it was very rushed, and man, I kind of like we try to avoid spoilers here on the show. I really don't want to go.
Yeah, we're terrible about that.
Dun, dun,
okay,
dun, 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 dun,
we're gonna go.
dun.
How much time we got here? Okay, so minor spoiler in the movie, and I really avoid this. So if you still want to see this film and you don't want to spoil it for you, I don't know. Here we go. There's that moment in the film where there's the moment of the trust is broken between our two main characters, and they've come a long way. They've formed a friendship, but then the trust is broken, and the one guy's like, I hate you, go away, I don't want to see you no more. And they go their separate ways. They both kind of like do their thing, and then after a while, the one guy's like, oh, they won't talk to anybody, and they're just kind of falling apart. He'll talk to you. Can you come make him better again? And then he comes back, and they do the thing. I'm like, damn it. I was kind of hoping they were going to go in a different direction, because there was like one thing involving Bryan Cranston's character love life, where it was like, oh, okay, it's going to go this way, and then it didn't, and then it was like, okay, a bit of a twist there. I'm down for that, but then I was like, okay, we're going to avoid the whole misunderstanding, and we hate each other, but now we're going, they're going to get back, and it happened, and that was for me the biggest disappointment of the film, because it just that trope again, the trope of like, oh.
What I couldn't understand is I thought that he hired Kevin Hart because he thought he would be the one person that if he started to die, that Kevin wouldn't resuscitate him out of some kind of ethical thing, because he's not an actual medical professional in any way. And then that never really paid off in any way. And it was, and I know it's based on a true story, and that's always difficult, because you have to be, to some degree, depending on, unless it's Bohemian Rhapsody, honest to reality of the situation. And sometimes, true stories, they don't fit the mold of a classic Hollywood script. And so I'm sure that was the reality of that situation, but it never pays off as a movie. But they probably didn't want to be dishonest, because, why would you want to have somebody tell his bandmates that he had AIDS right before Live Aid, and when he didn't have it for like 3 more years? Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I can't. What movie am I thinking of here?
That's right. Bryan Cranston's character performed at Live Aid. People were like, holy crap, that paraplegic guy can play that piano.
Can you lower the mic, please?
just hold up my arms and just kind of let them rest on the keys. The rest will have. He just kind of violently swishes his neck, and it causes enough momentum where his hands move across the keyboard. Wow, this is working. Wow, let's donate to Live Aid. And then Kevin Hart comes out with a microphone and does Aretha Franklin, because his character's obsessed with Aretha Franklin.
No. He already said he wouldn't host.
Oh, there we go. Very nice.
I'm in, I'm out.
Yeah. We talked about that before on the show. That Kevin Hart, like, he almost got it back, I think, because his because he went on the Ellen show to talk, and and I know Ellen isn't like queen of the gay people, but she. But she kind of like took that in her popularity, and she's like, "I forgive you." And then she did waved her hand, and he was blessed. And then the Oscar's like, "Maybe we will," and he's like, "Nah, I'm okay."
Yeah, they're going hostless, I believe now.
Yeah,
because nobody has tweets that's not going to come back to haunt them.
No. Everyone has said something stupid before in their past online. It has happened. I have my secrets. I hope they stay that way. They're not that bad. I'm just kidding. Yeah, when you're a teenager.
I once tweeted, every time I hear about North Korea in the news, I just think, man, I could go for some noodles. And I'm pretty sure this means that a Kim is going to kill me someday.
It'll be Kim Kardashian, oddly. What a twist.
She divorced Kanye now. She's like, he runs the entire country. That's way better. She's just called Kim now. We are coming up with some fucking delightful scenarios tonight. some alternate versions of the possible future and movies that we got. Tommy Wiseau, this is a good night. This is a good fucking night, people.
I would tell people to come and see this show that we are doing right now based on tonight's episode, but would you tell people to go and see The Upside?
You know what? I will give it a. I'm gonna give it a bare minimum recommendation, just because I believe the movie. What I mean is that it's a recommendation. I do recommend people go see it because I think the performances are really good. I think the performances are the draw for this film. Because it's all done genuine. You believe they're the real characters, right? It's just like, once again, I've talked about this on the show with other movies before about, like, Bohemian Rhapsody had the same problem where, like, I feel like I know this story. The story, misunderstood artist, he finally gets famous and the drugs happen and then he has to, like, apologize to his friends. This is a story I feel like I've seen before. So once again, it's the story that kind of lets me down. They didn't really do too much new and creative with it, except for, like, once again, the love interest subplot, which I won't give away what happened. But yeah, I will give it a recommendation. Because once again, as you said, John, for a January release, surprisingly good. So, because January can be so dull, I would recommend it. John, what about you? Would you recommend or not recommend?
I would say this: if you saw the trailers and were interested in checking it out, then definitely go. If you're at the movie theater and you're looking at posters on the wall, maybe skip it. If you were already interested in it, it looked good to you, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. You may be if you just thought, I like Breaking Bad. It's probably not going to be for you.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we end things off tonight, I want to give a shout-out to few things. This past weekend, I was in Hanover, PA, at the Church of Satire Comedy Club. It's a new comedy club that opened up there. Me and my buddy Chris Bowen, who's also a comedian, we were performing there. Great time. So if you're in or around Hanover, PA, please look up the Church of Satire Comedy Club. It's a nice little joint, real cool place, run by a great guy, Jim Bryan, awesome dude. And also this Saturday, I will be performing in a show at Hambone's Bar and Grill in Lawrenceville. The Victory Variety Review music and comedy show is for our good friend Liz Victory, her birthday. It'll be hosted by Brian Crawford, the host of River Talk here on the River's Edge. And we're going to have a lot of great, Liz Tripoli is going to be on the show, another good comedian, as well as several other, good musicians on that show. It's going to be a good time. And, of course, if you do enjoy the POVincent podcast, please consider donating to our Patreon, patreon.com/POVincent. If you have a problem with Patreon, because Patreon has come under a lot of controversy lately due to, Sargon thing. I also have a Venmo account at POVincent if you want to donate there instead. I might consider Subscribestar. I've heard about that, too. But either way, I just want to thank John. John, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come out.
Oh, yeah. No, man, it's a good time. I'm really glad you came on. Eric, we ready to say goodnight to the folks?
We are. As soon as you tell them what's going on February 1st, Vincent.
I wanted to save that until we got a little closer today. But February 1st at the Funhouse at Mr. Smalls here in Millville, it's part of Pittsburgh. My good friend I just talked about, Chris Mohan, he's doing an album recording here at the Mr. Smalls. And I'm opening for him along with another great local comedian, Stacey Fleurim. If you haven't heard of her, she's really great. She was on a previous episode of my other podcast, Silver Screen Stand-Ups. It's going to be a great time. So just go to the Mr. Smalls website. The event should be up on their page. Great quality local comedians. It's going to be a great time. And that's it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more movie talk. Who knows? Probably another jab at the DCU. Anything can happen here on the POVincent podcast. You never fucking know. But it's a great time. Thank you all for checking out our point of view. Take it easy, everyone.